Welcome to the Rinkside Rundown podcast, your ultimate destination for all things women's hockey with your host, Chris Sinclair. Hello and welcome back to the Rinkside Rundown podcast. Today I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by Sammy Davis, a forward and Pembroke, Massachusetts native, graduate of Boston University and current member of PWHL Ottawa. Welcome to the show, Sammy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Let's dive into this. I always like to start off by learning a little bit more about, what was it about hockey that initially intrigued you, kind of endeared you to the sport? What was it about hockey that you loved so much?
Yeah, so I have an older sister and I actually have a twin brother, and I actually started out figure skating not that long. I did not last that long. And they were playing ice hockey, and they are the ones that kind of got me into playing hockey. And then I grew up playing with my twin brother on like mites and peewee teams. And I kind of just fell in love with it and I feel like I really fell in love with it when I was in high school, and I knew I wanted to go play college hockey at that point. And I think I just liked the team aspect and like being able to contribute to a team and win. And I think that was just the best part, was being around people in the locker room and just the sport. Just you learn so much about yourself and you grow so much from being a part of the sport. So yeah.
What was it like to be able to, look to your brother and, obviously you've been on the ice, as you mentioned, you were a figure skater beforehand, but what was it like to look at your brother and be like, you know what, that feels more like what I want to be doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what it was. I think I just looked more fun to play. So, and my sister too. And I felt like, why can't I do it? And it intrigued me. And I'm so happy that I got into the sport, because I wouldn't be here today and I wouldn't be, able to travel and meet the people that I've met and so many things. I say it all the time. I think everybody that is kind of in my life is because of the sport of hockey. So that's so crazy to think of.
Let's actually, could you expand a little bit on that, just about like the relationships that you've developed over time, and what those relationships have meant to you in terms of, you as a person, but also, those relationships likely would have impacted your hockey career as well. What did those relationships mean to you?
Definitely. I mean, I think back to like when I started playing, and then the club team I played for, which was the Bay State Breakers. It was probably 20 minutes around where I lived, and there's a group of girlfriends. There's 5 of us, and I'm still friends with them today. And we're in each other's weddings. We go to each other's weddings, and then I think about too, like other people that like other relationships that have come into my life, and it's because of people that they've introduced me to. It's just such a small world, and like I'm so grateful for it, because I think that is like the reason of who I am today. And just like those relationships, and also just continuing in the sport, because they're the ones that kind of shape you and push you to keep playing and go for your goals and your dreams and everything. So I have to give a lot of credit to just like hockey in general. It's really crazy to think of just all the people it's brought to me in my life, like I've said. So
That's actually a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about next, which was obviously the relationships that you've made, the friendships that you've made have been really impactful for you, both on and off the ice, but also your family off the ice has clearly made an impact on you. What do you like? How would you say and we can talk about like broadly, we'll just say relationships, whether that's, family or friends. How have those relationships really continued to propel you and support you throughout the various ventures, and now with the PWHL, but the various ventures you've been through throughout your career.
Yes, definitely. I think like hockey in general is just, y- you know, there's always something. And I think that um, hockey, there's a lot of adversity that goes into it. And I can't say my path to any team that I've been on has been easy, especially this year. And yeah, I think about my relationships, my parents, my friends, my boyfriend, like they have done so much for me and have supported me so much, and I truly wouldn't be here without them. I mean, my parents followed me around when I was in, high school, and when I was younger, I can think about, the 6 a.m. wake up calls and going to Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, you guys, this you're in Canada, so you Dunkin' Donuts is a big thing, and so we would go there, and just I think about all the sacrifices my parents have made to enable me to be able to go play college hockey and um, play play hockey after college too. Um, so yeah, those relationships have just been so impactful, and I mean, all the teammates that I've met off the ice, I think that at the end of the day, to me, that's one of the biggest things is that those relationships and kind of that legacy that you leave. I mean, hockey hockey is hockey, but being able to impact somebody's life and the choices that they make, to me, is more important. um, because I mean, I'm so grateful I get to play this game, but you get to play it for a short time, and um, there's a lot more to life than that. So I think that thinking about that and putting that into perspective as I've gotten older has been has helped me build relationships on teams more and more. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think about how much hockey has given me, and yeah, it makes me happy to think about it.
One thing, and that's a fantastic answer, and I just think one of the things that I've learned in all of these conversations that I've been so fortunate enough to be able to have is just how much hockey isn't about you as an individual; it's about you as a team. Is that something that you would agree with?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can't win a game alone. It's all 25 of you playing together. Like it's there's so much more to it than just yourself. So that's why I like it so much. I mean, you really have to depend on everybody and everybody's attitude, everybody's energy, what they give. Everyone is so different as a player, and that's what makes every team so great because it's a puzzle. So,
Do you think that might have been maybe subconsciously why you went from something like figure skating, which is an individual? Well, I mean, it can be a pair and all
mm.
those sorts of things, but it can also be a solo experience and propel you kind of into maybe gravitating towards something like hockey.
Oh, definitely. I think like just seeing my older sister and my twin brother kind of playing sports and team sports, I think, just watching people work together, it's like it's so cool. And when it all works out and when it all comes together, it's just kind of like the best feeling in the world. I don't even know how to explain it. It's really cool when you see things just like working cohesively as one. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's why I keep going back and why I keep wanting to play every year as I get older and older. I mean, yeah, just those things. I mean, it's cool.
That absolutely it is. It definitely is. I want to know, being a native of Massachusetts, what was it like for you to be able to truthfully spend almost your entire hockey career playing in your home state?
I mean, it was so amazing. From when I was younger, I ended up going to a boarding school near Cape Cod, and I fell in love with that. And then I ended up having the honor to be able to go play at Boston University. And I think I always knew when I was looking at colleges, I always knew I kind of wanted to stay in, the state of Massachusetts. And I am really happy that I did. And then I ended up, playing with the Boston Pride for 3 years. And I think that then I was able to give back like to my community and everything. And I think that that is just something that was super important to me, and being able to represent my like home, city, home state is just, I'm, I love Boston, and it's my home and it's a part of me, but um I'm excited to be in Ottawa too, but there's always like a special place in my heart for home. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It was so great to be able to be there. I think so. Like, I'm obviously really close with my family and my parents and my friends and stuff from home, and I think being able to stay there at university and then play after university, which I'm so grateful I was able to, and be able to have so many family and friends be able to watch me play over the years, that was like super super important to me. And I think having that social support is just, I mean, you can't really describe it. It's really cool to be able to have so many family and friends always around, watching you and supporting you, and cheering you on and pushing you towards all your goals in your life. So yeah, it was really cool to be able to experience that. But um yeah, I was excited for a new adventure, so I'm really happy to be here.
Good. Yeah, I was going to ask you. I know you said that it's a bit fairly difficult for you to be able to put into words just what that time of your career meant to you. But I'd love to just kind of give you the floor to just kind of maybe elaborate a little bit more on like what was it really, what did it feel like, and what did it mean like or mean to you to be able to play the game you love in front of all of the people you care about so deeply.
Yeah, I think it's like such a unique experience, because I don't think so like people get to do that very often. Um so yeah, I think like the one word that I could say was grateful. I think like I'm grateful for my time at Boston University. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about my university experience. I've met so many great friends, and you know had a great education. I mean, like, BU was top notch, and I had some really great professors. And I think along the way, like, I grew up a lot, and I learned like a lot of, values and beliefs and what I believe in, and the life that I want to kind of cultivate, and the person that I kind of want to be. I think, I made mistakes in college, and my coaching staff and my mentors and my professors were able to kind of like catch me when I fell and help me learn throughout that process. So I think, just all those relationships I built was just so amazing. And I'm just so grateful to was able to play, um, in Boston for that many years. And then, there's not many girls that get to play hockey after college. It's really a small few if you think about it. And to be able to, extend my career for 3 more years in Boston was just like priceless, really. I really couldn't have complain I can't complain about it. It was great. I met some really great girls, like I said. Um, so yeah, I think it was just a really good experience. And I was able to go to grad school while I was playing and get my doctorate degree. So yeah, like it was perfect, honestly. Hard work, but it was all worth it in the end.
And we will be right back. This episode is sponsored by Durant Barristers. Durant Barristers is a proud supporter of women's sports and is an inaugural sponsor of the Rinkside Rundown podcast. Durant Barristers provides legal services for athletes, coaches, officials, administrators, and sports associations of all sizes, from minor associations to national sports organizations and professional sports environments. We routinely assist with safe sport complaints, investigations, anti-doping, harassment, discrimination, abuse, and governance matters. We also provide representation on general civil litigation matters, including employment and business disputes of all sizes. Durant Barristers founder Aaron Durant also provides mediation and arbitration services to assist in managing disputes in a timely and affordable manner. Durant Barristers has generously offered their best ever discount to fans and supporters of women's hockey. Mention the Rinkside Rundown podcast to, wait for it, receive 15% off all your accounts with Durant Barristers for the duration of your relationship with the firm. To learn more about Durant Barristers, visit www.durantbarristers.com. That's www.durantbarristers.com. Thank you to Durant Barristers for sponsoring this episode.
And now, back to the show.
And one thing that I discovered was that it appears as though you had the opportunity, the distinct opportunity, to do research on a marine lab
Oh, yeah.
in the Atlantic Ocean. Could you talk a little bit more about, like, first of all, how did that come to be? But like, what was that experience like?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, like, I didn't really do that research. I mean, in high school, I kind of like um, did a few classes in marine biology because it's really like the experience at Tabor is super unique because you're right in Buzzards Bay and like Sipican Harbor. So I did take a few courses there. But I wouldn't say I did like full blown research and like published any papers or anything. But I definitely had, like, I did an independent study and stuff with one of my professors so long ago. Um, but yeah, like I took a few courses there, so that was really cool to have for my high school experience. And we were able to, go out on boats and stuff in Sipican Harbor. And I know that some of my classmates would take like life-saving classes and stuff. So my high school had like really interesting opportunities and courses you could take. So yeah, um I had some unique experiences there, and that's kind of what made me fall in love with the ocean was honestly my high school. And I still have such a pull, to Buzzards Bay and to the Cape, and it's just like um, such a makes me my heart so happy being there. So yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it was like full blown research, but I was able to take some courses in high school, so that was cool.
What does it mean to you to be able to, obviously, like, this is the first time you've been away, and we're going to get a little bit more into where you're at right now, but this is the first time
Mhm,
you've been away from home.
mhm.
But what does it mean now, especially more than ever, to kind of reflect on those memories of, these experiences that you had, whether it was high school or just with friends, family? What does it
Mhm.
mean to kind of reflect on that?
Yeah, I think like when the people say like the distance makes the heart grow fonder, and I think that I like definitely would take home for granted a little bit, and having family and friends so close. But now that I'm a little bit farther away, which I'm not even that much farther, I mean 7 hours, it's not that far. It definitely makes me relish like those little things, being able to, drive to my parents' house or go for a walk on the beach or, go see my sister and her dog and stuff like that. So, um, I definitely think that that is a true saying. It's resonated with me the past few months, but um, I mean, I moved away when I was 14 and in high school. I mean, I lived an hour away in high school, but I mean, I've always kind of been on my own since I was 14. Like I've been very independent and like had to kind of figure it out and grow up when I was super young. So, um yeah, I think I definitely had points in the past few months where I've missed home, but then I think the girls here have been really great. So if I'm ever kind of, missing home or something when I'm at the rink, it's a nice distraction. Um, and I always have family coming to visit. So yeah, it's been a good balance.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about your time at Boston University. You were named an assistant in your third season, and we'll get into that more about your third season in just a moment. But you were also captain for your final two seasons there. What did it mean to you? I know we talked a little bit about, hockey being about a team sport, but I want to take a moment just to kind of, shine the light on you to be able to, when you reflect on your time in a leadership capacity with the team, and this is your home state, your all those sorts of things. What did that mean to you? What did it mean to be in leadership, only after a couple of seasons after joining the club?
Definitely. I think it's always like such an honor when your teammates recognize you kind of as like a leader and as, a captain. And I mean, I think that everybody is like a leader in their own way, and you don't always need a letter to kind of lead. But yeah, I think that it was really awesome to be able to have that recognition. And ever since I was little, I mean, I always dreamed of kind of playing college hockey and being a captain. And, I always wanted that. And I think, as the years when I was at university went on, I think, I definitely grew up a little bit and made mistakes along the way as a leader, but I learned a lot from it. And it was really cool. It was awesome to be able to represent Boston University as a captain. So, yeah.
What so obviously it sounds as though that time your time at university or in university was obviously really impactful for you. But speaking more specifically around your time as, in the leadership from the leadership perspective, um, how do you think that time in leadership helped to shape you both on and off the ice?
Definitely. I think being a leader is, there's all different types of leaders. And I think I kind of was able to learn, what type of leader I was. And I think, you know, like leader by action and working hard and doing the little things, I think was always super important to me. And I think, seeing the leaders that came before me and taking little aspects of, their leadership, um, how they would lead teams was super important to me. Um, and I'm still always learning and growing and trying to be the best version of myself and trying to help girls along the way. Um, but yeah, I think that it was interesting too. Like I think back of my college career and think of me as like a leader then, and think about the mistakes I made and think about what how I would be a leader now and how I think I would be different. And I think I would be more of an active listener and, being able to hear more concerns. I think that that is something that I've learned along the way of, what's really important is really listening. And actions are so important to me, and that's a big value of mine is, if you're gonna talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. So yeah, I think that those are all things that I've learned along the way, and something that I try to do now. And try to keep growing in that way and listening. I mean, we have some amazing leaders on the team right now, and I'm learning so much from them and taking little things that they, say to me, or just watching their actions and watching, their body language and stuff like that. And I think that that is all super important to me. And um, just, yeah, it's being a leader was really cool in university. And as I get older, trying to, figure out my role now is um, really cool too.
And speaking of walking the walk, I'm going to take a moment and I just want to kind of highlight some of your university highlights. Now, there's just a few because if I highlighted all of them, we would spend the rest of the episode just talking about your accolades. But I think this is important to be able to highlight. You were um, uh, some of the accolades that you were awarded based off of your performance was Beanpot MVP in 2019, Hockey East First Team All Star in 2019, 2020, Hockey East Distinguished Scholar as well. When you think, and again, there are a lot more awards, but when you think back on those, it isn't always necessarily about the stats on the ice, but how you also do off of the ice and how that helps to kind of um, mold you into the person that you are now. When you think about some of those awards that you've been, so rightfully awarded over the time or over your time in university, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm so honored, but I think that a lot of the reason why I got to where I got with those is because of the girls that were standing next to me. I mean, it's such a team sport. I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without, all the girls that I played with throughout my years at college. And I think more about the like, not those things to me are not really important. I think more about like the winning as a team and winning those games and championships and going to, Hockey East finals and stuff like that. Those are things that I'm going to remember more than getting those accolades. I mean, so yeah.
It's interesting because the more conversations I have, it becomes more and more clear that bringing up stats and awards really, like, obviously they mean something to you, but it feels like it's more in the moment. Maybe it means something to you because long term, you're only, as you'd mentioned, you're only really thinking about the relationships that you were able to make, the friendships that you now have. Like, am I correct in assuming that it's like, no, obviously it's, I'm not going to paint everyone with the same brush, but for
Mhm.
you personally, it really does feel like, great, I won those things, that's fine, but I don't care. Like, it's
Mhm.
about, like you said, it's about some of those experiences. So do you want to talk about like some of those experiences, some of those championships, some of those, playoff runs that you had gone through, and what those meant to you in terms of being able to cultivate those relationships?
Definitely. I think like I feel like we always fell short at BU, but I mean, I just remember like Hockey East playoffs and I remember like before Hockey East playoff games, I think like my freshman and sophomore, the tradition might have stopped the last few years of college if I remember, but like all the alumni would send in, videos wishing us good luck and we'd watch like pump up videos and like that stuff was always really cool to me of like how loyal like the BU alumni were and how proud they were of BU. Um so I always like really thought that was really interesting and just I don't know, I think about just like big games that we had and I think about the Bean Pod every year. Obviously that's like a big Boston, game and a big week like 2 weeks of hockey and I remember like obviously you can read about this, but BU was cursed for like 40 years. We always made such a joke. They couldn't win year after year. And then 2019, we ended up winning the Bean Pot. And that was just so freaking cool. I mean, just winning in general. I mean, winning any hockey game is just, and like I said, everybody asks, like, why do you keep going back? And it's like winning, like after you win, the like high you feel and like the energy you feel in the locker room with the girls is just, it's so cool. And that's why like you keep playing because of that feeling. But yeah, winning that championship and just, I don't know, like celebrating after, I can just replay that night in my head like over and over and it always just I mean you can tell I'm grinning right now. It makes me just smile so wide. And I just think about, all the girls that were on the team that year and how much fun we had and how hard we worked to really create like a healthy culture in the locker room. So yeah, it was just those memories are the memories that are going to stick with me, not getting some plaque that I don't even honestly know where it is in my house. Like,
I appreciate that honesty. I
yeah.
appreciate that honesty. But I was going to comment, and you actually referenced it. The you know the difference between talking about the accolades that you've been awarded versus the experiences that you had. You had the biggest smile on your face talking about the experiences that you had, which was
Yeah.
like, that's like, if there's any other reason to continue your hockey career, I feel like reflecting on those experiences is, and
Mhm,
having that giant smile on your face the whole time talking about it, like, that's
mhm.
what this is all about, right?
No, definitely. I always say, like, hockey is, like, the longest relationship I've ever had, and it's, like, a love-hate relationship. And some days you love it, and some days you hate it, and then some days it breaks your heart, but you, like, keep going back for more. I don't know why. It's, like, it's just, like, so interesting.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Mhm.
This may sound like the silliest question I'll ask you, and I have a ton of silly questions to ask you, but I wanted to know what went into your decision to actually go to Boston University. Again, I know that might be a silly question because you're from the state, but I
Hmm.
hear a little bit about what went into the decision process. It's always something that's really fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. I think the coach, I mean, in the school, I mean, I remember walking up and down with the coaching staff, and I was just kind of like at awe. Like, I remember walking down Com Ave and looking at Fenway Park and seeing Fenway Park and like the lights and just being like, this is my city. Like, this is, and there's a school here with, this amazing like hockey program with all these amazing players that were coming out of the school at the time. Um, and then I remember like standing at Fenway and then looking down Com Ave, and there's a sign that like says Boston University. And I was just like, this is really cool. And then walking into Walter Brown and, seeing all the history that Walter Brown has. And um, yeah, like it just everything and all the classes, and there's so many like colleges within the university. There's just, you could do whatever you want to do. You can be whatever you want to be. I could like, the world was my oyster. I literally had no clue going into college what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, and I was able to explore that at that university. And then I think Brian DeRocher, the head coach, he's just like one of a kind and so classy. And he really, I remember going on a tour and having conversations with him. And I mean, if you went to BU and that he writes these like handwritten letters, he still does it in his like famous red ink, and he signs his name, and it's just his classic, it's just him. And I remember when he was recruiting me, he was the only coach that would send me handwritten letters, and I just always thought that that was just so, classy. And if I really felt like that school wanted me, and they wanted to, develop me as a player, and they wanted to, develop me as a person too off the ice. And I think that that's what really caught my eye was, there's so much more to hockey if I join this hockey club, like if I join this college. And that kind of sold me right there. I don't know. I'm sure you girls have told you before, but when you're touring schools and you just go step on a campus, you just like get this feeling of, this is the place for me. And that's the feeling I got, was like, this is going to be my home for 4 years. Yeah. So, and it's kind of full circle too, because I know like Brian, I think, is working with Ottawa. So, yeah, it's just really cool.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by sports nutritionist Melissa Buffunos of MB Performance Nutrition. As a former competitive hockey player turned nutritionist, Melissa's mission is to help the next generation of hockey players optimize their health and diets so they can perform their best on and off the ice. Ready to dominate on the ice? Melissa's new course, the Hockey Nutrition Blueprint, is opening soon. If you're serious about learning how nutrition can impact performance and building actionable nutrition strategies based on your unique needs as an elite hockey player, get on the waitlist today. Learn more and sign up at melissabuffunos.com/course. That's MELISSABOUFOUNOS.com/course. Thank you to Melissa Buffunos for sponsoring this episode.
And now, back to the show.
I wanted to know, in 2017, 2018, you had hip surgery, missed the season. Could you talk a little bit about, we don't have to talk about the surgery itself, but like, I mean, we can if you want to, but I wanted to know also what did it mean for you, like, to build yourself up, like, mentally, as well as like, what was it like to, for the first time in however many years, you weren't on the ice, you weren't able to do those things. So what were those, it's May, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, so I think this is a perfect topic to kind of like, how did you overcome that, I mean, I'd say hurdle, but that's an understatement of the century. Like, how
Mhm.
did you overcome that?
Definitely. I think I remember like the summer that I got that surgery, and I remember like having conversations with Brian and just, you know, asking him, telling him, like this, I'm in pain and I think I need this surgery, and like I could try and play through it, but like I don't want to be in pain every day. Like I want to be the best version of myself for the team, and I don't think it's fair to be out on the ice and not be like Sammy Davis. And like his immediate response was, you have one body for the rest of your life. Like you're always going to have a place on this team, and do what you have to do to take care of that body. So like that kind of just describes him as a person, and um that like I'm so grateful for. So I was able to get that surgery, and I think yeah, like your identity, I feel like my whole life, my identity is an athlete and playing hockey, and I think that year I really realized that it's not just about hockey. Like hockey is like I feel like an added bonus in our lives, but there's so much more to us as people than being an athlete. Like we are also human, and we also have other interests in this world and in this life, and other things can bring us joy too. Um so that year I was really kind of able to explore more of, what I want to do in my future and who I want to be, and other things outside of hockey that make me happy and stuff like that. So, yeah, and it was so hard. I think I ended up not playing hockey for like playing in a hockey game for like over 400 something days. It was so crazy. Um, and it was hard. I mean, some days were better than others. I felt like my roommates at the time were so helpful and like totally motivated me. So I remember like Rebecca Leslie and Bach, who now are on Toronto, were my roommates. Um, and Savannah Newton too, who I think works with Hockey Canada and stuff right now. So I just think about them and how like so supportive they were during that really hard time of not playing. But I think that it kind of motivated me more to want to get back out there and see what I'm capable of, because I now wasn't in pain anymore. I worked over a year to kind of get back to the shape I was in. Um, and yeah, like I think, there was hard days where I just wouldn't want to go work out or go to, physical therapy and stuff, but I did, and I'm happy that I did. But yeah, and I think my coaching staff too, that was the year that our coaching staff kind of changed. So I was a little nervous about, will this coaching staff, be supportive of me and come on the ice to help me with rehab. And I remember Liz Keaty, who is, one of my biggest supporters today and mentor. She coaches at Dartmouth. And she would get up in the morning and come skate with me over at Aganis in the morning and help me rehab. And she had a little baby at the time, her first baby, and she would take time out of her own personal day to make sure I was doing okay. And we obviously grew a really good relationship from there. And yeah, like I mean, my rehab at BU was just awesome. I was able to, work with one of the athletic trainers there and kind of do sessions over at Aganis, because I felt like it was really difficult for me to be in the in the case center, which is where Walter Brown is, and in that, rehab, because it was just so busy in there and it wasn't super big. And I remember seeing teammates coming and going, and I really needed to like take care of myself, like selfishly. And I remember describing this to the girls, like apologizing for not being there as much. But like in order for me to kind of get back to me, I needed to put myself first, which I think I used to not do as much, but now I've kind of learned, like throughout that process, in order for me to be the best version of myself around the girls, is I need to, take care of that and take time away. So I'm really happy that I like advocated for that, and I was able to kind of get like a lot of attention, with one of the trainers, and in Aganis and stuff. So yeah, and I mean, it was definitely a hard year, like I said, but I was so worth it, and I was able to stay at BU for an extra year, um, and get my master's degree, which I wouldn't have ever thought I would, go and do. And I don't think I would kind of be where I am without kind of that injury. So, yeah, now I'm able to help other girls too go through injuries. I think, just being there to listen and stuff. I mean, I sat out a whole year. I know what it feels like to sit on the sidelines and watch, your best friends competing for a championship or, working hard, and you're just like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I just feel like I'm doing nothing. And also like that kind of like thought of, am I going to be able to play again? Am I going to be at the am I going to be as fit as I was before? Am I going to be able to keep up? All those thoughts go through your brain, but I feel like I was just, like I said, I mean, it's all about the support, and I think that I was really able to push those thoughts aside, and I just stayed one day at a time, one thing at a time. The little successes that I was able to get in rehab when I went from, crutches to no crutches to squatting to then putting weight on my squats to skating to building those little things up. I kept track. I had a journal, and I think I tried to keep those little wins in my head, and that helped me to keep pushing. So yeah, I think everything happens for a reason. So, and I truly believe that, and that was, it happened to me, and I was able to get through it, and we moved on, and I'm here today. So
Absolutely, and I wanted, and I think first of all, that was fantastic, and it's not always easy to be able to bounce back and to keep to find that mental strength to be able to continue moving forward rather
mhm,
than just saying like I can't do this anymore.
mhm,
So I think that's incredible. I wanted you actually you had mentioned something that I think is really important, and it's actually one of the most important things about this podcast is this podcast isn't just about talking about your stats, it's about talking about you as a person.
mhm,
And you had mentioned that, throughout this experience, it gave you an opportunity to kind of think about your life not on the ice, because when you're a hockey player, I act as though I am one. I'm not, but I would assume that your life is just consumed by hockey. You're always working out, you're always training, you're always preparing for something. You don't always necessarily get the opportunity to think about and just do something else.
mhm.
So with that time away from the ice, what were some of those things that you had an opportunity to experience that you may not have been able to while you were, if you had have been playing at the time? Maybe it's just hiking, maybe it's, spending more time with friends. Like, what were some of those things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that year I obviously spent a lot of time like rehabbing, but I think mentally I was able to spend a lot of time thinking about, what I would want to do in my career path. And that's when I kind of got the ball rolling of, I want to go to grad school and I want to become an occupational therapist. Um, so that is where that kind of passion began. And I think so too, like, I mean, I obviously have a lot of hobbies that I like to do, like hiking and skiing, and I like swimming, and I love the beach, and I love reading. But yeah, I think that like in right now too, where women's hockey is like it's obviously moving more and more towards a full-time job, but it's still, there's still some of us that need to work other jobs because it's still not like there yet. So and right, like hockey doesn't last forever. So you also have to think of like what's next? Or like who do I want to be after that part of my life, kind of that chapter closes. So you kind of have to think about, what is going to support me financially long term. And I was able to kind of find that as an occupational therapist. So that was like a really awesome part in my life when I was in college and then after college and stuff. So yeah, I mean, hockey is just a small part, and I think that you can it's not your only identity, and there's so much more to you than just that. So yeah.
I agree 100%, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to connect with a lot of players off the ice, and I can't um, put an exclamation mark on that enough. It's not just hockey is certainly a big part of your identity, but it isn't all of your identity. So it's always
Mhm.
great to be able to hear some of those other things, and we're going to get into some of those other things in just a moment, and I can't wait for that section. This is gonna that block is gonna be fun. I can't wait for it.
Mhm.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your time with the Boston Pride, where you were drafted first overall.
Mhm.
Again, you had an opportunity to continue your career in your home state, which you've spoken about the impact and how important that being able to spend time playing the sport you love in front of the people you love. What was it like to sign that professional deal?
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, obviously, that was my first professional contract. Um, and then being able to play for Boston and then being able to play with girls that you've always played against or, grew up playing with or against, that was really awesome to be able to kind of be a part of that. In my first year, it was the COVID year. So I think that that also was difficult because, everything was really shut down. But to be able to have hockey as an outlet in that year and be able to go to the rink like every night was just like a very nice thing to be able to do and something that I'm so grateful for that I was able to um, have that outlet at that time in this crazy world to think that it was 3 years ago is really I feel like it was just yesterday. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we were able to win 2 championships and that's just like another memory too that was really awesome. I remember winning it during the COVID year and celebrating at the like hotel downtown in Boston. And then the second year we ended up winning it in Florida. And I remember like being able to be in Florida and we were like sitting by the pool with the Isabel Cup, floating in the pool and stuff
Yeah,
like
that doesn't sound bad at all.
no, it was not bad. And we were able to, go to like a Tampa game and oh, that like I remember like wearing a t-shirt to the pool and I thought I put sunblock on my like head and face and I remember the next day just like my part being so burnt because we were just out there like all day partying, having fun. Like it was cool. Um so yeah, that was a really awesome time in my life to be able to continue playing hockey after college. I never really like thought about that, like thought that it was possible, and the fact that I was able to do that was really cool. And to be able to balance that and being able to go to grad school was I'm it was an awesome time in my life and being Boston and like I said I'm super family oriented and friends and stuff so they were able to come watch me play and all the hard work in the summer is paying off throughout the hockey season and stuff and meeting a bunch of girls along the way that are still in my life today I think is really awesome and always being able to text them or ask them for advice and stuff so that that is those are all the best parts of it.
Well, as someone who dropped out of university and I was only doing university, I can only imagine what it would have been like to balance, you know, your university, your collegiate career on the ice, but also off the ice. Plus, we also talk about your time internationally as well, where you had the opportunity to play and represent the U.S. You played in the 2018 IIHF Women's U18 World Championships, where you won gold. First of all, congratulations. You had 3 points in 5 games. What was that? When we talk about experiences, we don't have to talk about necessarily, obviously, we can talk about the game because it worked out well. But what was that overall experience like? You continue your hockey career. When you look back, when you switch from figure skating to hockey, is representing your country something that you ever thought would be in your future?
Yeah, I was so young. I think back of that, I was like when I was 18. And yeah, I mean, that was such a cool experience. I think that at that young age, like we're all just in so much awe. And I think that it's just such like a pure, unique experience, to be like, and a lot of those girls I'm playing with and against right now. So to think like I think of Jinsey and like Nat Snodgrass, who I played with like when we were 17 or something, and now we're here at this point in our careers. It like makes me think of like how such babies we were, and like how much we've like grown up and changed, and how we're like adults now, and we're kind of at this like full, like literally a full circle moment, and now we're like we have professional playing contracts. But yeah, I mean, it was a really cool experience to play there and meet some of those girls that, you know, I'm playing with now. Um, so yeah, I would never have thought, but it was, like I said, it was such a, you know, all those girls were so young. We're just, I think like our eyes are just like open, and we're like googly eyed, and we're, you know, listening to whatever the coaches say. Like we just want to make this team, and, you know, we want to like represent the our country when we're, you know, 16, 17, and everybody is just kind of like team first mentality, and, you know, doing everything, you know, for the team, which I think is such, like, it doesn't happen very often, you know, as you get older and stuff. So that was definitely an experience that I will remember for the rest of my life. And then get to play with the girls now. I think that, you know, I have a special place in my heart for them because we were so young, and now we're just still chipping away at it.
And we will be right back.
I would like to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved.
And now, back to the show.
I love that hockey continues to just be, as you've mentioned a couple of times, that full circle kind of thing where you meet someone, you don't think that you'll, you know, you have a great time with them, you see them for your university career or your collegiate career, and then all of a sudden now it's like, oh, now like, hey, how's it? It's been a while since I saw you last,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, like we were 15, we were 14, like 16. We literally had no clue. We had no clue what was going to be happening in our lives. Like we were just so young. And now we're here. It's just funny.
I want to talk about something that clearly means a lot to you, which is the Travis Roy Foundation. If you could just talk a little bit about what the Travis Roy Foundation is, what it means to you, and just to kind of set this up, you actually donated your jersey sales to this foundation, and I think that speaks profoundly. And when we talk about these, you as an individual, you're more than just hockey. This is, I think, one of those things that speaks directly to that, in that it shows the kind of character, the kind of person you are. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to just kind of highlight this foundation. And again, like I said, what it means to you.
Yeah, Travis Roy went to Tabor actually, and I went to Tabor, but he was a little bit older than me. And actually at my graduation ceremony, he gave the like graduation speech. And it was like the first time since his spinal cord injury that he came back to Tabor to like speak about it, and just kind of speak to Tabor about his experience while he was in high school and everything. And then he ended up going to BU, and like the first 11 seconds into his college career, he at Walter Brown, he like fell into the boards and was paralyzed from the neck down. And then throughout my college career, I had a teammate that did like a summer internship with them, and I remember helping her out and being like, "Oh yes, like he went to Tabor. I would love to help. This is really interesting to me." Like I then remember then thinking like I want to go into occupational therapy, um, become a therapist, and um, then he ended up passing away, and I ended up wanting to kind of honor his legacy and everything that he's done, because throughout my like college career I always kind of would help out around the foundation, and I fell in love with what they did. What they do is they raise money for research and like adaptive equipment for people diagnosed with a spinal cord injury. The foundation they actually kind of like closed it down after Travis Roy passed. That was like his wish to kind of, you know, um, close the foundation and kind of like have people move on from it. But all the money that they did is like going to research, and they actually opened up like a little wing in Spalding Rehab in Charlestown, and where they're doing like spinal cord injury research, like dedicated to the Travis Roy Foundation. So yeah, I raised a bunch of money my first year playing professional ice hockey for Boston Pride. It was during COVID, and I remember I was jumping in the ocean like 24 days for 24, and actually a girl that I worked out with at the time was already jumping in the ocean. And I remember one day I went with her, and I kind of was like, we were kind of like, let's fundraise money, let's do something. And the idea kind of stemmed because she like was jumping in the ocean, and I'm like, what else are we gonna do? It's COVID, like let's bring some joy to this world, some like good news, because there's never just like such sadness. So yeah, that was able to kind of jump in the ocean, and we raised a lot of money for them doing that, which was really cool. And then yeah, and that and even before that too, like I think that is also kind of a reason why I went into occupational therapy too, like a part of the reason, because I always was really interested in like working with people with spinal cord injuries, and just helping people, like being a part of a helping profession in the hospital. And yeah, like it was just really interesting and then I went to school in Charlestown and was at Spalding, and then it all kind of like fell together because I was going to grad school for occupational therapy, and Travis went to Spalding after he had his injury, and was working with physical therapists and occupational therapists, and the worlds just, all three of my world just kind of like collided. And yeah, it was really fun. It was this, like, I think back to one of my hockey memories, and it was one of the best hockey memories. One of the days we ended up jumping in the ocean down the Cape in Falmouth, which is where like my head coach at the time was from, and like all the girls came down, and it was like December. We went in the ocean from December 1st to December 24th, and I don't know what day it was, one day in December on the weekend, and all the girls came down, and there's a video online, like there's so many people down the Cape that were storming in the ocean. And Chris Wagner at the time, who also like lives in Falmouth, he was like a Bruins player, he came in the ocean. Like we were going back and forth, like people on Twitter and stuff, like daring coaching staff and stuff and players and to go in the ocean. So that was a really cool experience, to get a bunch of people involved. So
And again, I can't stress enough, like these are those stories that you may not necessarily, or people may not necessarily be familiar with, but I think these are the things that help define you as a character, as a person. And so it's great to hear about those things. And I think, when we look forward into your career, I want to know, when we talk about these certain moments in your life that mean a lot to you, this moment you're involved in right now with the PWHL, we'll get into a little bit more specifically. But what is this moment, when you think about your entire life and those incredible moments that you've been a part of, what does this moment mean to you?
I think that this moment is just, the word grateful again comes to mind. To have this opportunity to have, the best players from, both of the leagues, NCAA, like all come together and have one, one league is really awesome, to be able to compete. It's like the best of the best, and to be a part of it um is really cool. Like, I'm so excited to be here. I mean, I played professional hockey for 3 years before, and I think that now playing against all these, amazing players is just elevating your game even more. And yeah, like, I'm so grateful to be here and be a part of this kind of like movement and, new era. And I really hope that, it keeps growing, and that it keeps, more teams get involved, and it just keeps growing bigger and bigger, and the salaries increase, and it becomes more and more of a full-time job. And um yeah, like, I'm so hopeful for the future, and I really hope, I think about like when I have kids, and I'm hoping, I hope my daughter falls in love with hockey if I have a daughter, and that this is a viable thing for her to do, because we've worked so hard. So many girls have made so many sacrifices throughout their life of, family sacrifices, social sacrifices, just a lot of things to put hockey first. And you put a lot of things on hold in your life. And especially as you get older, you put a lot of like family decisions on hold to, you know, try and continue your career playing. So I think that this is just really cool to be a part of. And I'm so happy that I kind of persevered and pushed through and was able to be a part of this team, because it's really cool. And I'm just really excited. And I genuinely love hockey. And that is why I'm playing right now, because I do genuinely love it.
Yeah, and so you, when we talk about your PWHL career, you signed with Boston as a free agent. You're now with Ottawa as a free agent. Could you talk a little bit about what the experience was like being that free agent? Really the first time in your career, being able to choose. I mean, there's probably other factors I wouldn't know about, but
Mhm.
more broadly, like you were able to kind of, scope it out and figure out where, what the best fit is for you. What was it like to go through that experience? And then part two would be, what's your experience been like here in Ottawa?
Yeah, I definitely think it was like a unique experience. Obviously, like, I would have loved to get drafted. I think that was, um, yeah, that was like obviously my primary thing. But I knew that, it was going to be so competitive. And so I ended up not getting drafted, which, was a blessing and a curse. It all worked out, right? Like I said, everything happens for a reason. And I was able to, go and attend Boston's training camp. And I ended up not making that roster, and ended up signing as a reserve player there, and just kind of like waiting for my opportunity, and kept working and working. And then an opportunity in Ottawa presented itself where they needed a player, and they had a contract open, and I was able to come here and play. And I think, like, all along, I wanted SBA, I wanted a contract, and I was able to get a standard play contract, and I was kind of able to come here. And yeah, like, it was hard, obviously. I mean, getting cut from Boston and not really knowing, like, if I was ever going to get an opportunity to put the jersey on for them. And um, like, like I said, everything happens for a reason. And like, maybe my fit there it wasn't meant to be. Like, I wasn't a fit for them. And Ottawa came around and saw fit in me, and gave me, an opportunity. And I'm so happy they did, because it's a great fit. And I think the style of play and the coaching staff um is just really great. And fits my personality, I think. And all of the culture that's created in the locker room, and the girls that, they built this team around, are really great, and genuinely care. I think it's really rare to see like women supporting women, and women like actually like authentically like asking, how you're doing, and like really hoping for your success, because they understand that like your success leads to team success. And I hear that is what's created. And I think that that's like really unique and special. Like, the first day I went into the locker room, I was like, there's something special here. Like, the weight that was on my chest, I feel like in Boston was just lifted. Like here, the team is just great. The girls are great. So I mean, I can keep saying that because it's true. And I've just Ottawa too as a whole. It's been such a great city. I love where I live. I love how everything is so close. There's such great food, and I mean the first day I remember walking in like I think I arrived here Friday night, and the first day was Saturday, and they were playing. I came Saturday morning to the rink in the first, and that was when they played Toronto at home, and that was my first experience like being in TD Place, and like I just could not stop smiling. I'm like, this is so freaking cool. Like to have this fan base, to have these people supporting like women, like this is how it should be. Like this should be the norm. This is amazing. Like why is no other city like this? So yeah, it was so cool the experience, like a TD Place literally shaking. I like I- the energy was just I was like, get me out there, get me on the ice. Like I was gonna run through a brick wall. So yeah, I think just the fans are truly they're the best in the league, like hands down. And they make this experience worthwhile. Like we would not be here doing it if it was not for them. Seriously, like they're the ones who kind of like make me coming back for more and make us be able to continue playing because it's just all about visibility and just watching the game grow and stuff like that. It's just really cool. So um I've loved Ottawa so far, so I have nothing bad to say about it.
Good, and everyone will be super excited to hear that. I wanted to know, just kind of as we wrap up, there's obviously so many questions so many more questions I could ask you,
Mhm.
especially around the PWHL. Um, but I do want to ask, and your career, obviously, but I want to ask, um, what do you think about? I, maybe I'm a little bit biased in thinking this way, but it feels as though the PWHL has been one of the more innovative leagues, at least specifically more recently. What do you
Mhm.
think about just in general, the innovations that they've made? What do you think or how do you think that's impacted yourself, but also the visibility of the league, the excitement around the league, all of those sorts of things? Because they've come up with some really creative ways to keep things interesting.
Definitely. I think they have to. I mean, it's the first like year of the league, and I think in order to kind of keep people like coming back for more and continue viewership and like visibility, I think that that's something that's super important. And yeah, it's just like interesting to see, the rule changes like hockey wise, and then like the playoff setup and first place picking who they want to play, and it's just like really interesting, but it also kind of like goes against the norm, and I think that right now we're trying to break that glass ceiling, and we can't just do what the men do, like right, like we're different, we are different, and I think that we have to kind of keep fighting and fighting to be seen and fighting for that equality, and um yeah, I think that it's been really interesting, and I hope that it just like kind of keeps trending in the right direction because um yeah, it's just yeah, I just hope it just keeps going up and up and up because it's honestly been such a joy being able to play and stuff. So, I mean, there's still a fight to go, and we're still fighting, and we're still, I still would like to, see, more and more teams and more, more of the teams get more, fans like we do and stuff like that. And like, how do we do that? I don't know. How do we keep increasing our visibility and making our game like more and more interesting? And yeah, like I think that there's like, I love how they're making the game more and more physical. I think like we can play physical, and that people need to stop like just because we're women we can't. And I think that that is just something that I've enjoyed. um so yeah, like it's been an interesting year, and I mean it's the first year of the league. There's always going to be like rough patches and stuff, and that's why we signed up for it. Everything's not going to be perfect. I mean, it's you think, all the NWSL or the WNBA or, the NHL or anything that was perfect in the beginning stages. Definitely not. So, yeah, we're getting there. So,
All right. And that's absolutely, I agree. There are always going to be hiccups, but it's the first year. And look at
yeah.
the reception you've already received the
Hmm.
first year, right? It's incredible.
Hmm.
Especially in Ottawa, where you're constantly breaking, it's always home, like the home games are always sold out or almost sold out. It feels like sometimes the roof on that place is just gonna fly off, especially when there's goals or even just when you come out for a pregame skate. Like it's just and the fans, the signs, all that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
That's what this is all about. So
Really.
I want to end here. This is going to be I used to call this 20 questions, but then I realized I never actually asked 20 questions, so I was just misleading. So I've just now titled this Chris asks an arbitrary number of questions, in this case, Sammy. So we're going to get into that. We're going to learn a little bit more about Sammy Davis. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. So first off, what is your go-to pregame meal?
Oh, well, I'm like chicken and rice and veggies, usually like broccoli or Brussels sprouts. I put this
Uh,
like specific spice on my chicken, so yeah.
I was just gonna ask, is there a specific spice that you put on the?
There
Uh,
is. It's right back here. Let's see. I get it from home.
okay. Oh.
From a place
Oh.
from home.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's a barbecue rib
It's
rub.
like
Oh.
yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I got to get myself some of that then.
Yeah.
If you are the team's DJ for whether it's practice or whether it's in the locker room, or maybe like it's just some event that you're doing as a team outside of hockey or
Mhm.
outside of the rink, rather, what
Mhm.
are some of the songs that you're going to choose to just get everyone up and get everyone excited?
I do not envy that job. I just never want to be on aux. But like country, I love, Luke Combs and Zach Bryan and yeah, like Chris Stapleton. I don't know if that will get the girls going, but I love country. I feel like it's safe. It makes me happy. So yeah.
Well, you're speaking to a country guy. So I was born in the Ottawa Valley, so I'm all
Okay.
about the country music. So
Mhm.
that would definitely be totally fine and acceptable, at least
Mm.
for my taste. Um, do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions?
Um,
Like, do you tie
like
you have to put a specific skate on first, or you have to wrap your stick in a specific kind of way, or um,
no, I like tape both my hockey sticks. No, I kinda like to eat, like, the same foods usually. It's hard when we're on, like, the road, but not really. I like to try and keep it light. I mean, I do like a warm up before I warm up always, so I guess that. But I wouldn't say I'm, like, superstitious. Like, whatever's kind of like I'm feeling that day, I try to kinda go with it. But it's usually always, like, the same routine, so
okay.
mhm.
What has been one of your favorite? This is again one of. It doesn't have to be the favorite, but one of your favorite memories of your hockey career.
Um I mean, right now, I think, like, my first game when I played for Ottawa, like, skating out when we played Montreal and, like, being at Place Bell, like, they're so loud too in Montreal, and I just remember being like, "Wow, like, all this hard work has paid off, and I'm just gonna freaking enjoy it." So that was one of my, like, recent memories. Um, and then, like, winning the Bean Pot, that was cool, and then winning the Isabel Cup 2 years. Those are probably, like, my top 4.
All right, and I've been to Place Bell, and that place is Oh my goodness, that's loud.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so loud.
so
And they're
loud.
speaking French, and I'm just like, "Oh my goodness."
I only know a little bit of French, so it's a
Yeah,
little bit difficult for me to be able to follow along, but it was quite the
yeah.
experience. So to have
Mhm.
that as your first experience, oh boy,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
incredible.
Uh-huh.
Um, so when Sammy's like, you know what? I just want to relax. I just want to kick back. I don't want to do anything. What do you do to just kick back and relax?
I mean, I like to watch Netflix. I feel like that kinda, like, calms me down. Like, kinda just, like, veg out on the couch and watch Netflix. I like to read a book. I'm reading a really good book right now. Um, so those are, like, my 2 things of, I just wanna kinda chill.
Okay.
Going for walks too, like, when it's nice out, I like to kind of get outside. So, um, yeah, those 3 things.
Well, the
Is
good news is you're about ready to experience what an Ottawa summer feels like. So, welcome. This is
Yeah.
almost it. It's much better than the winter.
Mm.
What is the book you're reading right now? And do you have a go-to Netflix series that you kind of like fall back on?
I'm reading like a fiction romance novel. I think it's literally sitting on the couch right now. I was just reading it before I'm talking to you. It was like The Last Summer Ever or something. I forget.
Okay.
I should know, but sometimes I just open the book and just start reading and then I
Yep.
forget what the title is.
I
Um,
feel you.
yeah, and then my favorite Netflix series. Oh, Yellowstone, like, I don't know if it's a Netflix series, but I love Yellowstone, and I keep waiting for them to come out with the next season, but I don't know if they're going to, which is making me sad. Yeah, or like the 1823, those were really good seasons. Um, yeah, I think that those are what I've enjoyed recently.
You are literally the first person that I've spoken with, like just in general, like at all, who
Yeah.
also references Yellowstone. That was absolutely probably I mean, maybe it's recency bias, but one of my top maybe 3 ever series. That was an
Yes.
incredible series.
Yeah, they did such a good job. I mean, yeah, like, Beth is, like, so
Mm,
crazy, like,
mhm.
I
Never
don't
a
know,
dull moment,
everybody
never.
like, all the characters, like, they just all the acting, like, just such a great job, so, yeah, it's crazy.
All right, to finish things off, do you have a hidden talent?
No, do not have a hidden
You
talent.
like, can you play guitar? Do you, like,
Nope. No.
draw? Do you paint?
No, I can't do any of those things, I'm, like, so not artistic, I don't really have any hidden talents. I like to
D
cook. I wouldn't say I'm, like, a great cook, but I like to cook.
Okay.
I can cook a good
So
meal.
okay, so what's if you had to pick a meal that you were like, I love making this meal," what would that be?
Um I like to make chicken parm. I feel like I can make chicken parm really good. If I were to have teammates over, I feel like that would be a good meal to make. Um, yeah, like I don't know, I could make anything.
Oh,
Just
there it is.
follow a recipe. That's what I do. I guess I
Don't
shouldn't say I can make anything, but I can follow a recipe and it can come out pretty good.
Yeah, there you go. Don't take that away from yourself.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
this. You got this, especially with that rib rub you've got
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
So, yeah, well, Sammy, unfortunately, it's come to the end of the show, and I have to say goodbye. But I just wanted to say again how much fun this has been, and how much I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with me, chat, just hang out. It's meant a lot to me. So I just wanted to say thank you once again.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And there you have it, folks, for Sammy Davis. I'm Chris Sinclair, and this has been the Rinkside Rundown podcast. Cheers.